Hello and welcome to World Stories. This is your International Reporters Magazine. I'm Sumi Somaskanda. We're going to take you on a journey around the world from Haiti to Egypt and Bulgaria. So buckle up. We hope you enjoy. We start out today in the Haitian capital, Port-au-Prince. The United Nations launched its mission in Haiti called MINUSTAH back in 2004. It involved deploying peacekeeping forces to help stabilize the country, which was in the midst of political upheaval that had turned violent. Those troops also helped recovery efforts in the aftermath of the massive 2010 earthquake that devastated Haiti. In our next story, UNTV's Sandra Miller introduces us to a man who found a unique way to pay tribute to the Blue Helmets, as the peacekeeping troops are known, by carving their figures in wood. His project was an instant hit when he started 9 years ago, and demand for his wooden soldiers is still booming today.
Every Saturday, the Brazilian military base of the UN stabilization mission in Haiti, or MINUSTAH, is transformed into a market. The hottest items here are these wooden soldiers. Depending on size, they sell from $15 to $200 US. Germain Manas is the creator.
You could pass at 10:30 and you'd not find anything anymore. When every one of the Brazilian militaries takes one soldier, everything is already sold.
Lieutenant Colonel Anuruddha Seneviratne of MINUSTAH.
Today that I have ordered some UN soldiers, 3 soldiers. Of course, there are some 3 contingent commanders are going out in the next week for them to be presented from as memento from the MINUSTAH.
These wooden figures are handcrafted in downtown Port-au-Prince near the busy Grand Rue in Manas's workshop. Each month, between 120 and 150 soldiers are made here. This means regular income for many of these craftsmen, like Jean-Samuel Rosenberg.
This activity helps me to live. I can also say this is a gift I got from my father, who is also a sculptor. When I was born, I saw him working. I have learned from him how to work.
Manas's enterprise began in 2004 when the UN set up a mission in Haiti. At first, Manas was making only little blue helmets. Then, a Brazilian soldier asked him to sculpt a soldier. It took Manas 1 whole year to create and perfect the design. From there, his business took off. Now, he's also producing boards with the logo of the United Nations, often accompanied by messages in Spanish and Portuguese.
Every time when the militaries are leaving Haiti, they are in a hurry. They need UN soldiers, boards, and thousands of other things. They put me in a position to work quickly, to split the wood, cut it in a form, paint, and varnish it.
Manas knows all the details of military personnel. Coloring the little soldiers is the last step in the production.
All the soldiers are already finished. I have to put varnish on them, then I can deliver them tomorrow to the Guatemalan military.
The varnish is barely dry. The customers have already arrived. As usual, the clients are satisfied with their small wooden soldiers that look like them. Sergeant Roberto Urizandi of the Guatemalan military.
We decided to come to ask for some souvenirs for the people that are going home. And also, we normally ask some souvenirs for the people that visit us, too. So he's a good working man. That's why we come here.
Manas is always ready for other commands. His shop, opposite of the headquarters of MINUSTAH, has a strategic location for his business. With the help of his team and constant demand for these special soldiers, these craftsmen may live a life with economic stability and hope.
Now we head to Egypt for a story about an up-and-coming entrepreneur. Amr Shadi came up with an idea to provide service content to cell phone users, and he's turned that concept into a booming business. His father is also a powerful businessman, and Amr could have followed in his footsteps, but he decided to try his hand at something new on his own. Now Amr has his sights set high. He's planning to make his company a global player. Emerging Stars TV correspondent Raymond Hassler-Harm sat down with the young entrepreneur.
Yeah, I mean, we want this to be a $1 billion company if we can, and we will in 2020. You know, what's wrong with having a company from Africa be the next Facebook or be the next Google.
Egyptian businessman Shadi has set his sights high. He's the CEO and founder of TA Telecom, a successful mobile services and app provider. The company was founded in the year 2000 and has quickly grown to one of the leading telecommunications companies in the Middle East. We met him at the headquarters of his company in Egypt's capital, Cairo.
I mean, we started really in a bedroom with a credit card and two people working in the company in the very beginning, and then we ended up, now we have maybe around 50 employees, generating around $4.5 million in annual sales.
It's no surprise that Shadi became an entrepreneur. His father owns a large international engineering company, and Amsh was expected by many to take the reins when his father retired.
Let me say I've been groomed in a way that to be an entrepreneur from early on, because I was kind of being set on a path to work in my father's company and sort of help in my father's business and maybe take it over with time.
But Amsh decided to buck expectations and strike out on his own. He still remembers the day he had to tell his father he would be starting his own company.
I can almost remember that conversation and his reaction, and I was very surprised that he was extremely supportive.
Well, I was happy that he has this courage and this entrepreneurial spirit, and to start, because not to depend on me all the time, because he was sheltered, he was protected, he was having everything in the company. But to start on his own, that needs a gut, needs confidence, needs belief that he will succeed.
A lot of companies, yes, are family-owned businesses that are kind of inherited from generation to generation. And lots of the successful companies are like that. Really the feeling of I didn't want to really let him down. It was just very obvious that I was supposed to be helping out. I was supposed to, take the company over when the time is right. So, just kind of scratching these plans for me was the biggest burden that I had.
You are from different generations, and yet you're both Egyptian. Tell us, what's the big difference between the two of you?
Tell from what you see. I work very hard.
Do you work too hard?
Too hard. He's working hard, but his colleagues and his friends entrepreneur, they don't work that hard.
But I might disagree, because we also work very hard, maybe in a different way, but we work very hard as well. So, my work day, it can start at 4 or 5 in the morning and keep on going until 11 or 12 at night. So, try to learn to be a little bit more lazy in terms of getting very good people to do some key functions and having them learn from their own mistakes, as long as they're not detrimental, but yeah.
In my work at this time, there's no room for mistakes, for delay.
You have to be on top of it.
So that's why I have to make sure, because otherwise it costs me a lot.
Although he has a very busy schedule, Amsh still finds time to visit the mosque 5 times a day.
Well, really, first, it's really an obligation on any practicing Muslim, so it's something that we have to do irrespective of how busy we are. That said, I also see lots of value in it, not just because it's something that I have to do as an obligation that you have to fulfill towards God, but more, it allows you to really, think and see, kind of disconnect of this really hectic world, very busy world, and, really understand, what are you doing here, and what really is important for you, So it's really a way for me also to continue the day.
So business and religion are a bit integrated. Is that what you're saying?
Definitely, because religion also gives you the ethics and the values of how to conduct business, how can you run your company, how to care for others, how to care for your customers, how to care for your employees, how to have this, also the ethics towards your other shareholders. So it is very intertwined, in my opinion.
Amsh is determined to grow TA Telecom even further into a billion-dollar global enterprise.
In my opinion, you really need to, in the very early stages of your startup, you really need to involve yourself a little bit more in the details and just understand how each function operates and how they relate to each other, and how, just be very aware of the business inside out. So I like to say that there's no job in this company today that I haven't done. I realize the importance that if this company is going to grow even more, then I need to, again, focus on where my strength is, focus on the innovation part a little bit more. How can I have innovation distributed across the organization, not centralized? How can I have more people do more of the management, the day-to-day, etc.?
Good luck to Amr and his business. Now to a story about an unusual form of cooperation. In a small village tucked away in the Russian district of Sverdlovsk, the St. Nikolai Church is in desperate need of a makeover. The beautiful building is 2 centuries old, and much of St. Nikolai's elegance has faded. Its priest was searching for a way to keep his church alive when he came across an innovative idea to restore St. Nikolai by bringing drug addicts on board. And as RT's Rania Drudi tells us, the priest believes the project has paved a path to salvation for the church and the addicts.
The St. Nikolai Church may look like an ordinary place of worship, but the 200-year-old Orthodox Church has a surprise in store. It's badly in need of restoration and is turning to an unlikely source for help. Former drug addicts are helping Father Victor return the St. Nikolai Church to its former glory.
Of course, we needed a lot of money, and there was work to be done everywhere, but nothing was getting done for the restoration. But then, when the idea was suggested to work with drug addicts to complete the restoration, then I understood that St. Nikolai was waiting for it. We had our resources.
The church's inspiring architecture and the prayers and patience of Father Victor offer the addicts refuge and salvation from an unexpected source.
It seems kind words mixed with prayers and hard work is the right combination to help these lost souls get over their dependency on drugs.
It's a different approach to fighting addiction, but instead of focusing on the physical symptoms, Father Victor's approach focuses on the souls of the afflicted and relies on their desire to return to a normal life. And here, far away from the temptation of the cities, addicts seem to have an easier time rejecting drugs.
The church is working for the people. That's why they're working longer and harder on the restoration. And the people who are here helping aren't just working physically, they also take part in church service.
The work begins early each morning. Restoration work and maintenance is being done both inside and out. They started with the ceiling and walls of the church, but have since expanded to mosaics and paintings. Participants in the programme are aware of the responsibility that is connected with their work, but they're happy to have a chance to contribute.
I would say so. I'm happy to be able to stay here. We're working on the roof. It's an old roof. The paint has started to come off and the ceiling needs support.
The programme was founded around 3 years ago and currently includes participants between 20 and 30 years old. In the last 3 years, the project has seen many successfully turn their lives around, as well as others who gave up and left the St. Nikolai Church. But despite the setbacks, programme organisers say as long as a single soul can be saved, then they'll continue with their work.
Now we head to Brazil, where the Landless Workers Movement, or MST, has brought together more than 1 million people to fight for one main cause: comprehensive land reform. The MST wants to see deep-rooted inequities in land distribution resolved, and they believe the only way to do so is to give poor workers who have fled to cities access to land back in the countryside. In our next story, we visit one such project in the state of Minas Gerais, where families are learning how to live off the land they received. But as Reda Minas TV's Carlos Augusto Suarez shows us, experts believe teaching them the right way to cultivate that land is the key to providing for future generations.
I was born in Roça and moved to Belo Horizonte. Then I came here from there. I had nothing when I arrived. Now I have my cows, which I can milk. I have an old motorcycle that I can drive around on, too. I have everything I need, you know?
6 years ago, Edson was one of the first to arrive in the settlement of Visconde in Minas Gerais. Originally, a sugar factory stood on the 800 hectares of land. Now, around 30 families are making a life for themselves on the property, which was confiscated as part of the land reform.
I've observed that the overwhelming majority of the working class, and especially candidates for a spot in a settlement like this, are extremely poor. These are very poor people coming from high-risk areas.
What is the difference between urban and rural poor? Is it better here?
It's much better. It's easier here. If you need money in the city, you have to go to the bank and then to the market. Here you can find dandelions, sweet potatoes and tapioca on your doorstep. Here you reap what you sow.
So you don't go hungry?
There's always something to eat. Here in the settlement, you die with a full stomach.
In Brazil, many dream of owning their own property. Life in the country offers a radical change from Brazil's overcrowded megacities, where there's little room and growth is almost uncontrolled. For some, getting back to nature offers the best chance to improve their living conditions.
It's a new chapter of my life. I'm building something here that I'll have for as long as I live. It's my future, my baby. When I die, I'll leave something behind for my son. This land is everything for me.
That was your dream, right?
Exactly.
Now you have to learn how to cultivate it.
Yes. You can't just distribute land without giving people the tools they need to succeed. Today, in the 21st century, it's almost impossible to create a settlement for people without land, without giving the farmers the proper resources. They need to work with the latest technology to keep up with the pace of change and bring their methods in line with proper environmental practices. We believe that sustainable, or as we call it in Latin America, agroecological farming is an important tool. It's also an economical tool. We want to reduce the dependency on external factors. We want quite the opposite. We want an agricultural industry that's independent from chemical fertilizers, pesticides, and herbicides. In other words, an agricultural system that produces food and protects the environment, the quality of the drinking water, and helps clean up polluted soil.
Recupera os solos que estão sendo degradados. The University of Viçosa also wants to help settlers build a better community.
Our real goal is to help people create the right foundation to develop their land. That means they should be able to produce and sell their own food. And of course, it should have an agroecological focus. The production should help improve conditions for the entire community and not focus on competing on the market. Our production principles focus on the proper treatment of the planet.
Exchanging information and ideas is critical for settlers hoping to survive in the country, just like learning to plant crops. On each of these small farms, students, professors and farmers are working together to make sure that the land can once again support sustainable agriculture.
And finally, we take a look at an important anniversary and an effort to honor war heroes. It was 100 years ago that the First Balkan War broke out between the Ottoman Empire and an alliance of 4 countries, one of which was Bulgaria. Hundreds of thousands of Bulgarian men were called up to fight. Yet over the last century, many of their names and their sacrifices have been forgotten. That's where the Bulgarian State Archive comes in. The agency is trying to restore all of the fallen soldiers' records and make sure that Bulgarians today honor their service.
The year is 1912. The place, the Bulgarian capital of Sofia. Onlookers are reading a poster describing the mobilization for the First Balkan War. The call is out for fresh recruits. In just a week's time, the Bulgarian army would swell to 600,000 soldiers with more than 1,100 heavy weapons. On September 29th, the Bulgarian army set up camp in the town of Stara Zagora under the command of King Ferdinand. Bulgaria started military operations on October the 5th. 11 days later, the first Bulgarian reconnaissance flight took place. Pilot Radu Milkov, accompanied by Prodon Trachev, took off from Svilengrad Airport in an Albatros F-2 biplane. During their 50 minutes in the air over the region of Odrin, they were able to locate Ottoman forces and attack an important target, a military camp on the Karakah River. The conflict between the Ottoman Empire and an alliance of Bulgarian, Serbian, Greek and Montenegrin forces ended 1 year later, with a victory for the Allies.
It's been 100 years since the First Balkan War ended. I still don't know the names of the real heroes of that conflict. There is a monument in the center of Sofia dedicated to the unknown soldiers. But it only demonstrates our lack of knowledge. In the 1930s, the Ministry of War started to prepare a complete and detailed list of all the dead Bulgarian heroes of the Balkan Wars.
The list fills more than 30 volumes and took over a year to digitalize.
Here in front of us, we can see one of the books of names which we digitalized. In it, we can find a wealth of information, not only about the fallen soldiers, but also where they perished and their final resting places. This will allow their some 250,000 descendants to find the graves of their great-grandfathers with just a few mouse clicks. If they want, they can pay their respects by lighting a candle or laying a wreath. In this way, we hope to restore their interrupted family histories.
The Bulgarian State Archive hopes the information will draw attention to the soldiers who served in the war.
Unfortunately, in Bulgaria, many family histories were interrupted for decades. Some families only know their own history back to the start of the war. I think that's why our national holidays are only seen as days off work, rather than celebrations of national pride.
The melody of Whistling Maritsa paid tribute to the battles of the Balkan War.
This is my family memory from the First Balkan War, which was passed from generation to generation. The goal of our project to digitalize and upload the names of more than 48,000 people who died in that war is to help Bulgarian families restore their family history and re-experience these historical events as a part of their family story.
And with that, we've come to the end of this edition of World Stories. From all of us here and our partner stations around the world, thanks for watching. Don't forget to watch this show again. Head to our website at dw.de/worldstories. We'll leave you with this week's Picks of the World. See you next time.